Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so nice to see everybody here at Speak Out, the Sustainability Forum, the Festival UnBound. As many of you know, this event is coming to you as part of our second year of Festival UnBound, Touchstone's Festival of Community-Inspired Arts and conversations around matters of importance in the Lehigh Valley. Also, if you've got anybody who couldn't make it, if you just text them the website, www.touchstone.org, www.touchstone.org, it's live streaming, so that's exciting. In UnBound 2019, we asked high schoolers in the Bethlehem area school district, what do you think the city should do to improve its sustainability? We left the question as to what that word sustainability meant wide open and received over 180 fascinating and entertaining replies. Now this year, Dr. Lisa Draper, government economics teacher at Liberty High School, took up the question again. Another 40 essays were written. Today's Speak Out are a few of those voices from last year and this. There were many, many more. It was our original plan to have each student go to City Hall and take 5 minutes once a week, and we'd spread it over 10, 12 weeks, and address City Council. That couldn't happen because of COVID. So we put together this event instead. And I appreciate it. Afterwards, we're going to, we're videoing this. We're going to be sending out a number of social media posts. If you can repost those, if you can spread the word, please help us out. A few safety reminders. Anytime you're up from your seat, please keep a 6-foot bubble between you and others. Have your masks on securely over your mouth and nose while you're at your safely, socially responsible distanced tables or chairs. You can have your masks off if you're in a little pod with friends. Thank you to so many sponsors. To date, there are Air Products, CADC Bethlehem, Discover Lehigh Valley, FIG Bethlehem, Freestone Productions, Kira Wiley Productions, PBS 39, PNC Bank, the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts, The Morning Call, RCN, RK Leros Foundation, UGI, WDIY, Webfoot Digital, Working Dog Press. I want to particularly thank the Bethlehem Area Food Co-op, and Kathy Fox, Elizabeth Chikonsky of the Bethlehem Economic Advisory Committee, and Ed Gallagher, who's not here, of the Bethlehem Gadfly, who's been helping with this for a long time. Please join us in a round of applause, thanking them. Absolutely. And restrooms are inside the building, and someone will let you in at the front door in case of emergency. Exits are everywhere. And out of respect for the performers, please make sure that your cell phones are silent.
This is a poem written by Ella J. Phillips entitled For All Those People. This is for all those people who hide in the dark, for those who feel hopeless, for those with a broken heart. This is for every child and teen who is trying to flee from their fears, for those who cry themselves to sleep, for those who drown in their tears. This is for people who hide their scars upon their wrists and their thighs. I want to remind each of you, there is a reason you're alive. You are here for a purpose. You are needed in this place. You are special. You are beautiful. It doesn't matter what size, gender, or race. You are perfect just the way you are. You are priceless, a wonderful new. You are dearly treasured by many. There is no one more important than you. And now, let's talk about climate justice.
Hi, my name is Audrey. I'm a senior from Moravian Academy, and I'm excited to talk about climate justice today with you all. Climate justice. These two simple words are probably not as familiar as the now very politically infused climate change. Instead, these words emphasize how environmental changes are an issue of civil and human rights. These changes will disproportionately affect each and every one of us living on this planet, just some more than others. And this is regardless of your political standing. In the words of Mary Robinson, the first woman president of Ireland and former UN High Commissioner of Human Rights, climate justice, quote, insists on a shift from a discourse of greenhouse gases and melting ice caps into a civil rights movement with the people and communities most vulnerable to climate impacts at its heart, end quote. The importance of involving younger generations in matters pertaining to climate change is slowly gaining momentum. On a global level, steps are already being taken to do so, such as through the establishment of the Youth Climate Summit by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in 2019. But for youth to raise their voices, they must first be properly educated on the effects of climate change. However, the quality of education a child receives is largely linked to their family's socioeconomic status. Those who live in poverty are most likely to be the ones without adequate resources, education, and/or support, while those who live in luxury or comfortability are more likely to be the ones with sufficient resources, opportunities for higher education, and the ability to provide and/or receive support. In the Lehigh Valley alone, approximately 13% of our 841,000 plus population live in poverty. This means that around 109,000 people are living without necessary resources or opportunities. Paying attention to these areas and focusing on bettering the lives of those who live there will lead to overall progress for everyone. I understand that this is not just an issue the Lehigh Valley faces. It's more than a local issue, but everything has to start from somewhere, and we can do that together. We can build a foundation, give the next generation sufficient resources and high-quality education for them to raise their voices about these injustices and to call for justice to be served. We need to invest in our children, our future generations, because, as stated by Mary Robinson, quote, youth are the majority. Youth have to have their voice, their perspective, and their urgency included, end quote. This is why we need a curriculum that integrates environmental science and advocacy into our local school systems. Here's an example of why we need this curriculum. When I started to get into sustainability, I was super into recycling. But here's the thing, I wasn't actually recycling. Recycling, for me, consisted of me just putting unwashed plastic right into the recycling bin and calling it a day. It wasn't until my mom caught me by chance and told me I had to actually rinse out those plastics that I started to properly recycle. I realized that by wanting to protect the environment, I had inadvertently contributed more harm than good. But I feel that this could have easily been prevented if I had been provided with the proper environmental education. Now I ask for you to close your eyes and imagine. Imagine a curriculum that integrates climate education and environmental advocacy that surpasses the traditional classroom setting. Instead, we emphasize hands-on service learning. Imagine the impact we can make together, not just for now, but most importantly, for our future generations as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Audrey. You know, we've got a lot to learn. I was trying to teach my grandchild, she's 5. I gave her some monarchs to raise, little caterpillars. So she gave me a poem back. There was this poem. For years they came tacking in, full sail, riding the light down through the trees, over the rooftops, not just monarchs, but viceroys, swallowtails. So many they came. They became unremarkable. Unremarkable. Showing up as they did whether we noticed them or not, swooping and fanning out at the bright margins of the day. So how did we know? Until it was too late. Until they quit coming. Then flowers in the flower beds closed their shutters, and the birds grew so dull they lost the power to sing, and how later, after the river died, others would follow. Admirals, buckeyes, all going off like some lavish parade into the great, overcrowded silence. And no one bothered to tell the trees they wouldn't be coming back anymore. The huge shade trees where they used to gather, every last branch and leaf sagging under the bright freight of their wings. Let's talk about climate change.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Subjan. I'm a junior at Liberty High School. The issue I'm going to talk about today is climate change. Climate change is one of the biggest issues of our lifetime, and there is much more we can do both as a community and as a city to reduce its impact and lower our carbon footprint. Liberals are one of the biggest groups that will support my call to action because they want more action to be taken as a community and as a government to help stop climate change. Nature activists are another group that will support me because less pollution means a more healthy environment. Although our individual actions alone might seem small, our actions as a group can influence others to follow our example. Declaring a state of climate emergency is a great first step towards a healthier community. Of course, there will always be people who disagree with climate activism and think it's a waste of time and money. Conservatives believe that climate change is not an important issue and that our budget is better spent elsewhere. Another group in the opposition is fossil fuel reliant industries. They rely on fossil fuels to make money, so they would not be content with any restrictions that could cut their profits. There are many ways to help fight global warming, including swapping to renewable energy sources, because if we can lower our dependence on fossil fuels, then we can lower our carbon footprint. We can encourage swapping to electric vehicles to lower pollution. Plant life is an all-natural way to reduce the effects of climate change, so protecting our ecosystem is important, not just for the ecosystem itself, but for our climate as well. We cannot stop the climate from changing for the time being, so we need to create new strategies to adapt to the changing climate. There are also many things that we can do as a community to help stop climate change, like recycling. You can turn off the lights in rooms you're not in and take shorter showers. You can also buy solar panels to both lower your electric bills and carbon footprint. Let's all make a difference today.
This is another poem called I Don't Know What Will Kill Us First, the race war or what we've done to the earth, and it was written by Fatima Azghar. So I count my hopes. The bumblebees are making a comeback. One snug tight in a purple flower I passed to get to you. Your favorite color is purple, but Prince's was orange, and we both find this hard to believe. Today, the park is green. We take grass for granted. The leaves chuckle around us. Behind your head, a butterfly rests on a tree. It's been there our whole conversation. By my old apartment was a butterfly sanctuary where I would read, and two little girls would sit next to me. You caught a butterfly once, but you didn't know what to feed it. So you trapped it in a jar and gave it to a girl you liked. I asked if it died. You say you like to think it lived a long life. Yes, it lived a long life. Now, let's talk about solar.
This Speak Out was written by Emily Rodriguez, who is here in heart and spirit, but unfortunately couldn't make it to read. The Lehigh Valley has already made changes to create a cleaner, more sustainable future for our community. Allentown, in 2010, installed solar panels on their courthouses. In 2014, public transportation buses became hybrid electric buses. Yet there is so much more our community can do. Becoming a more sustainable community starts with small changes that we make to create a cleaner, brighter future. My proposal, Emily's proposal, is to install solar panels on public government buildings around the Lehigh Valley. We can expand on what has already been done by installing solar panels on the post office, the library, and public schools. Solar panel provides a cleaner, renewable energy source. It's a brighter way of bringing a more sustainable electrical source to our community. The cost of solar panels has lowered significantly in the last 4 decades by 99%. Doesn't this mean they are now 1% of what they used to cost? Solar panel has become cheaper than coal, natural gas, and any other fossil fuels. The U.S. Department of Energy has always encouraged using solar energy, even recently announcing that they were going to provide $20 million in funding to advance perovskite solar photovoltaic technologies. This technology has shown to have great potential for high performance and low production costs when used to create solar cells. Currently, the most effective technology for creating solar cells is monocrystalline. They are very efficient, durable, and have higher costs than polycrystalline and thin film. Statistics from the Department of Energy say the overall annual return on investing in solar panels is more than 20%. 20%! In a decade, this investment would benefit the community economically and help the planet with global warming. Homeowners in the community that have solar panels understand what solar can do and how it works firsthand. It's a really great way to encourage cleaner energy. It is also a great way to give back to the community. The more solar energy we bring into our community, the less we are putting harmful emissions into our air. Investing in solar power, which is renewable, creates surplus income that will be returned annually and could be used to repair historical buildings, city parks, and plant trees. We know, at first, the system can be costly. The solar investment tax, the ITC, only benefits homeowners and businesses, which means the city would have to pay the full price. And solar energy seems like dependence on the government. But the main reason my proposal is specifically for public building is because it benefits everyone in the community. It sets an example and shows the individual homeowner it's okay for them to consider taking advantage of those tax incentives. And in that initiative, our city government could help by supporting poorer homeowners with very low-cost loans. But that's another speech. To create a cleaner, healthier environment for our community, solar is, as they say, a no-brainer, a win-win. Let's do it now.
Brilliant. I'd like to introduce, just take a little moment to introduce Kathy Fox from the Bethlehem Food Co-op. She has a few things she'd like to share with you about this important community initiative. Yeah, Kathy?
Thank you so much for having this event. I'm part of the board of directors for the Bethlehem Food Co-op. My name's Kathy Fox, and we're excited to be a part of this. The Food Co-op is all about sustainability and community, and that's what Festival UnBound is about, and especially tonight. Just let you know that we are a group of citizens that's trying to open up a community-owned full-service grocery store on the downtown north side area. And we are negotiating a lease right now. We can't reveal where it'll be until we sign the lease. We are always looking for new members. We are planning on having a sustainable grocery store as much as we can, with lots of options of bulk buying, less plastic, what we can do to help with the sustainability. And we're very concerned about climate change and things like that ourselves. So if you're interested in finding out some details about us, you're invited to stop by at our table and say hello, sign up for our newsletter. We have a nice bi-weekly newsletter that tells you everything that's coming up, what we're doing. You can follow us on Facebook and things like that. We have a website, and we love talking to members of the community. So please stop by, and thank you so much.
This is another poem. It was written by Erica Moore, and it is called United. Do we stay silent or raise our voices? Do we give in or make our choices? This is our chance. This is our threat. This is our choice. And we're not finished yet. We stand together and await the light. This is our chance. This is our fight. Here we're standing, united and strong. We're not giving this up. We're not moving on. This is our voice. This is what we came to show. This is our choice, and we're not letting go. This is our word. You give what you get. This is our world, and we're not finished yet. Now, let's talk about water.
Hi everyone. My name is Silmac Roy, and I'm a junior in high school. I go to Freedom High School, and I'm grateful to be able to speak out and share my opinion. So, my paper and this presentation is meant to raise awareness on the many potential threats to our water supply. The main points of concern are with such contaminants as trihalomethanes and lead, and the largest concern of all, the potential impacts of the expanding shale gas industry in PA, and in particular, the chemicals used in fracking. So first, let's start off with trihalomethanes. From 2015 to 2019, many normal contaminants such as chromium-6 and strontium, their levels have been found to be consistently on the lower end. However, trihalomethane levels have been on the high end, and the acceptable range is always changing. Trihalomethanes are a chemical group that are a byproduct of mixing chlorine and organic matter and are related to fracking wastewater. This is wastewater generated by hydraulic fracking and is known to have high amounts of trihalomethanes that are still present even after the water treatment process. This chemical has been proven to have such negative health effects as various forms of cancer. Bromodichloromethane is part of the family of the chemicals known as trihalomethanes, which are regulated by the PADEP and are monitored and included in the consumer confidence reports. It is important to ask why the allowable range of trihalomethanes is changing every year. Could this range be changing to accommodate increases in concentrations in source water? Now for lead. In 1991, the EPA published a regulation to control lead and copper in drinking water. This regulation is known as the Lead and Copper Rule, also referred to as the LCR. Until 2019, when lead jumped from 2.0 to 7.0 ppb, the level of lead and copper in Bethlehem was relatively constant and had been since 2013. Although the levels are still significantly below the recommended exposure limit established by the National Institute of Occupational Health and Safety, it's important to ask what happened in 2019. Why did the level of lead increase, and how do these fluctuations reflect human behavior? The treatment technique for the EPA rule requires systems to monitor drinking water at customer taps. If lead concentrations exceed an action level of 15 ppb or copper concentrations exceed an action level of 1.3 ppm in more than 10% of customer taps sampled, the system must undertake several additional actions to control corrosion. If present, elevated levels of lead can cause serious health problems, especially for pregnant women and young children. And for the biggest concern, hydraulic fracturing or fracking. In 2012, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Corbett signed Act 13, which permits most oil and gas operations in all the state's zoning districts, including ones with schools, parks, and hospitals. President Barack Obama authorized the creation of a high-level federal agency to coordinate shale gas production, a rapidly growing industry likened to a 21st century gold rush. Over the next 2 decades, more than 50,000 fracking wells are expected to open in Pennsylvania alone. Bethlehem will surely be affected by this. However, extensive studies have not yet been done so that we can accurately predict the impacts on our water quality. Hydraulic fracturing or fracking is the method being used to extract natural gas from Pennsylvania's Marcellus Shale geological formation. It injects water, sand, and chemicals deep underground to break up the shale and allow the gas to be collected. The process also creates wastewater known as flowback that contains chemicals used in the fracking mixture, as well as salts, metals, radionuclides, and hydrocarbons from the target rock formation. Fracking is controversial and is banned in New York as well as places like Vermont and some European countries. The Pennsylvania natural gas industry has also given rise to such proposals as the Penn East Pipeline, a gas pipeline between Martins Creek and Philadelphia, which is designed to expand the domestic market from fossil fuels, which have alarmed environmentalists. Dozens of children and young adults have been diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma and other forms of cancer in a Forest County area outside Pittsburgh, where energy companies have drilled more than 3,500 wells since 2008. Yet a 2015 study of northeastern Pennsylvania published by the EPA indicated that there was no evidence of fracking fluids contaminating wells and springs. These results are dated and may not accurately reflect some of the latent effects of the gas industry on local water sources. We need new studies with existing sample location data points and with new location data points. Because of this, awareness is important, and in particular, wider public awareness and better understanding of these impacts. Some positive steps are already being taken to keep our water safe. In November 2019, Pennsylvania Gas Government Tom Wolf said his administration will spend $3 million on a pair of studies to explore the potential health effects of the natural gas industry. At the water recycling plant in Lycoming County, a facility where wastewater is efficiently treated and studied, some shale gas producers are trying to protect the environment by collecting the fracking fluid and sending it to actual waste facilities. Recycling and reusing shale-produced water, as initiated by the Marcellus shale industry, is now the standard practice of PA shale companies in order to lessen the environmental impact of the shale industry. However, it is baffling to see how few studies are done with the 600 chemicals used in fracking and their effect in drinking water. Given this information, one cannot conclude that fracking will have no impact on the Bethlehem water supply in the future. Just like for the 600 chemicals used at fracking sites, more research must be done on chemicals such as trihalomethanes to fully understand their potentially harmful impacts on the human body. Sudden increases in contaminant levels, such as the elevated concentration of lead, should become a top priority. Our water may be safe for now, but in order to ensure that this remains true, we all need to be aware of what can and will taint our water supply. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that beautifully researched presentation, Somak. We're doing really well. We've got people watching us online. You could do me a favor, just everybody, we're applauding you for those of you who are online. Yay, thanks for being there. Which camera should I be looking at here for online camera? Not sure. So here's a poem, which is one of my favorites. Fire and Ice, Robert Frost. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if we had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. Assad?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Assad Harrington. I'm a junior at Liberty High School. And what I will be talking about today is the facility in Freemansburg. Okay. What I want to improve is the smell that comes from the water facility in Freemansburg. It's unbearable, unnecessary, and destructive. People can't even come outside to sit on their porches because the smell is so bad. That's unfair for homeowners. It would be hard if they wanted to move and sell their house. It would be hard because of the smell. The smell needs to go now. When I'm walking outside, I love being outside. I smell I love the fresh air, the blue sky, except when I go into Freemasburg. Instead of smelling fresh air, I smell fresh crap. I don't live there, but whenever I drive by, I smell the foul odor, and it just makes me want to vomit. It's a huge cancer growing on our community, not just affecting the neighbors. Two people, both homeowners in the Freemasburg area, filed lawsuits demanding a total of $5 million. I have an uncle who lives in Freemasburg, but whenever I go to his house, I never smell anything. When I came across the article about the lawsuit, I was highly surprised. Those who can afford to live out from under the cloud do. Those who can't. I understand both sides. People must be free to live where they can't afford, but I favor the people who have to live there with the smell every day, which is simply wrong. Don Haylock, the district manager for Waste Connections, declined to comment on the lawsuit. He's against it, of course, and doesn't think any changes should be made. I demand that the water facility do something or move to where there are no people. The authority is bringing in a lot of money, and money is the root of why they don't want to move. They even plan to upgrade the facility, expanding it so that more towns around the Lehigh Valley can send their stink there. They have to understand the frustrations and annoyance of the people who live around the facility. Who can blame them? I wouldn't want to smell that horrible stench either. But with the new upgrades, I insist the authority improve and get rid of the smell. That's it. Thank you.
This is a poem called As a Portent by David Baker. At least there was a
Song, timorous of,
wing beat, snowdrift, ash,
of red horizon,
then somewhere calling.
as under one's breath,
I did not hope you,
would find me wanting.
and the next extinction.
On every wing. Now, let's talk about food.
Hello everybody, my name is Luke Ryder. I am a senior at Liberty High School, and I'm 18 years old. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming out today to listen to me and all the wonderful people here. Bethlehem and all of the Lehigh Valley have been faced with an issue that many simply don't see. The city is in desperate need of more locally built, non-chain, and affordable farmers markets. While many people choose to turn their heads at the idea of farmers markets being an important issue in the Lehigh Valley, it must be tackled as soon as possible. The overall benefits of more farmers markets around the city of Bethlehem and the Lehigh Valley as a whole can economically, physically serve all surrounding communities in a very constructive way. First of all, it would support local farmers without a doubt. Farmers markets give us the opportunity to preserve the local farmlands, stopping the erosion of green space and preserve greater CO2 sequestration and cultural heritage. These have been replaced more and more rapidly with large warehouses and McMansions. The produce local farmers would provide would greatly help those in search of fresh, healthier produce. And the personal pride a farmer's market would give to the farmers and consumers would be rewarding to us all. We mustn't discount the power of simply feeling good about our food, especially the lower and middle class. They would benefit from the farmers markets, helping get us off of sugary, fatty, and processed foods, shown to be the cause of heart disease, diabetes, and just overall ill health. Providing local, cheap, and reliable sources of nutritious food tackles the issue of obesity head on and helps us all. While the public takeaway and reaction to this initiative would be certainly positive, not everyone would be on board with farmers markets popping up around the Lehigh Valley. Chain store owners would fear losing business to the often more affordable farmers markets. Another group of people who would possibly oppose the idea is the taxpayers, who might not believe in the importance of new farmers markets and supporting their creation through civic funds. But both problems have quite obvious solutions. Not only will the construction of the new markets not affect taxpayers greatly, but they can be sources of income in the long run. The construction and the farmers markets themselves will bring the community together, so very much needed, especially if they include Latin-based foods as well as Anglo. The markets will advertise themselves through social media and word by mouth. It'll stir up excitement about these new markets throughout the Lehigh Valley. Bringing in the Bethlehem Farmers Market Group to aid in the sustainability of these markets will greatly to keep the problem solved for many years, and not just temporarily solved. A new farmers markets, or a bevy of them, will help our city without a doubt. Let's make it happen. Thank you very much for listening.
I'd like to take a moment to point out Elizabeth Chikonsky. Elizabeth, would you raise your hand? There you are. I was looking at the wrong person. Elizabeth is on the City of Bethlehem Environmental Advisory Committee. And if anyone is interested in getting into this work, helping promote a more sustainable, environmentally friendly community, Elizabeth is the person to talk to. She's looking for volunteers. And, but you don't have to be young. I'm sure she'd welcome anyone. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Eli. I'm a sophomore from Raven Academy, and I think food waste is a really important issue, and I'm really glad to be here and able to talk about it. Food waste in our country has devastating, lasting effects on the environment and on American communities. The Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, estimates that up to 40% of the 40 million tons of food produced each year in America will be dumped into landfills. In a dump, food doesn't have access to oxygen, so it undergoes a different chemical reaction when decomposing. This reaction produces large amounts of methane gas, which deals much more immediate damage to the atmosphere than carbon dioxide. There is much more food in our landfills than any other solid municipal waste. That means that American homes, businesses, hospitals, and schools throw away more food than they do plastic. In the Lehigh Valley, about 1 in 10 residents and 1 in 3 children rely on food banks and food pantries. Possible solutions to food waste require more effort, time, and money than they seem they should, but it is vital for our planet and its citizens to pursue solutions to food waste. In February of last year, the National Resource Defense Council published a report titled Tackling Food Waste in Cities. The report outlines what actions a city's government and citizens should take to reduce food waste. This report could guide our county and city in a campaign to address food waste. To begin, the local government should make a clear commitment to reducing food waste by a defined number by a defined date. Next, there should be changes in the food service areas that are regulated by the city, like schools and hospitals. These facilities should adopt regular food waste audits and food rescue plans. After finding which foods are thrown away through the waste audit, a facility orders less of that item each month. However, it's impossible to predict exactly how much chicken or pasta or lettuce a cafeteria will need in a given month. That is why the staff will also need to create a food rescue plan, which often involves donating unused healthy food to local food banks. Finally, the city should help businesses and individual households do the same. The City Council can promote the Save the Food and Food Too Good to Waste materials that are already put into place by the federal government. Additionally, schools and employers can communicate to students and employees about reducing food waste and local efforts. Many groups already exist in the Lehigh Valley, like the nonprofit Lehigh Valley Community Foundation, which has already done significant work by organizing grants for food pantries, food banks, and soup kitchens. The Community Action Committee of the Lehigh Valley oversees an extensive food distribution network that serves over 60,000 people each month, among other community services. There are financial incentives to reduce food waste as well. Research by the World Resources Institute shows that 99% of businesses saw a positive return on investment after changing their operating practices to reduce food waste. This means they saved money by saving food. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has found that an average American family of 4 loses $1,500 each year by throwing away food that they purchased. Many businesses and families are interested in and passionate about reducing food waste, but they don't know how or where to start. If the local government helps them begin, they can enact massive change in their communities. Our current world demands these reforms now more than ever. Amidst a global pandemic, social justice crises, and the threat of global warming, people are calling for change. Businesses nationwide have been forced to close. Families facing food insecurity have been left devastated. However, communities have responded with resilience, compassion, and activism. Shelters, community centers, schools, and neighbors have selflessly provided aid to those who need it. This is a mindset ripe for enacting change. We have a golden opportunity to develop sustainable practices that will rescue our current system of waste and neglect. Bethlehem and the Lehigh Valley have the community and the leadership to make changes, and we can't wait any longer. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'd like to introduce Dan Subrinsky. Actually, I really should be introducing May. May, could you want to come on? Now, Dan Subrinsky is involved with the City of Bethlehem Community Action Plan, and he's got a few things to share with them. That's very important, are individual actions, but we also have to work collectively, and it's really great to know that the City of Bethlehem is moving forward on that issue.
It is wonderful. So, hi, May. I'm part of a team working with the City of Bethlehem on a climate action plan. And while I'm here to tell you a little bit more about that climate action plan, I first wanted to express some gratitude to everyone that makes Touchstone happen. You inspire us, you entertain us, and you challenge us. You challenge us to be the community we want to see in the world. And so thank you for that. The City of Bethlehem's Climate Action Plan is seeking to establish principles of environmental justice, to set commitments and targets to decarbonize our local community, to promote energy efficiency and renewable energy, and to prepare and adapt to the changes we see in our climate. We need you to help us do that, especially these students that are speaking so eloquently here today. And so your engagement, we have a public meeting coming up October 7th. There's 2 meetings that day. They'll be at noon and 5:30. These are virtual events. You can register for those events at www.bethlehemcap, that's CAP, Bethlehem CAP, climateactionplan.org. Kathy Fox has some little handouts give you details on that. We'd love to see you involved in it. We'd love to see the solutions that you're bringing to tonight to that climate action planning process. And I'll close with the academic and novelist Raymond Williams said, to be truly influential, to be truly radical, is to make hope possible, rather than despair convincing. So that's our challenge to all of us. Let's go forth and do that.
We all have this all very well organized and planned out, but having to clean the microphone after every person definitely is a test. Clay, thank you.
My name is McLean Oskin, and I'm a senior at Moravian Academy. And thank you for letting me speak today about environmental issues. Development and land and construction have overtaken our land with asphalt and concrete, making commercial districts and office buildings abundant, while the number of trees and open space dwindles. The Lehigh Valley, with an ever-growing population and robust mixed economy, continues to develop. As a result, it becomes ever more critical to protect the natural environment that has preceded us through conservation to balance growth and development. Green space is vital to preserving local ecosystem, increasing environmental resilience, and to the community's economic and social health. Land conservation is paramount in maintaining local ecosystem and safeguarding clean air, water, and soil. For example, sheltering land that hosts waterways decreases the quantity of harmful chemicals, litter, and particulate matter by up to 45%, preventing pollution and preserving local water sources. Protecting the environment gives back to the community through ecosystem services, in which humans benefit from natural organic processes. Vegetation and forestry enhances water retention and drainage, thereby reducing flooding. Soil and trees absorb and sequester carbon, reducing carbon emissions, contributing to the greenhouse gas effect, making them pivotal players in the fight against climate change. More locally, this ecosystem offsets the local air pollution that comes from our cars and transportation. These services reduce damage and improve personal health, acting as preventative measures for infrastructure and reducing the healthcare costs long-term in our community. Conservation is a preventative solution to get ahead of the curve of climate change and its intensifyingly harsh and unpredictable weather. The increase of natural space lends itself to a new form of benefit, that of environmental resilience. Open habitat and green space has a greater ability to adapt and change to external forces. Increasing its resilience is economically beneficial as it decreases risk and damage from natural force and in turn saves taxpayer money from bearing the brunt of the cost of rebuilding local infrastructure every time a storm hits. Green space is not only environmentally significant, but also benefits the economic and social health of our communities. It produces recreational areas. It provides recreational areas that promote physical and mental health to relieve stress and overwork. It provides an area for social gatherings and community buildings. It economically attracts businesses and residents to the community. The preservation of resources such as parks, forests, farms, and waterways increase the property values and the number of residents, which in turn increases the tax revenues to support local governments and businesses. Natural ecosystem services help reduce government spending. For example, protecting water sources reduce costs to filter clean water, saving on healthcare costs. Furthermore, land conservation has a potential to save even more money than land development, commercialization, as heavily built up lot sizes with lots of concrete and imporous materials cause cost damages to water and sewage services and cause storm water runoff related problems. Land conservation is most commonly accomplished through outright sale, in which property owners may donate or sell their land directly to conservation organizations, sometimes with a provision that allows them to continue residency on that land. Another option is via conservation easement, in which the owner enters a legally binding agreement to limit certain land uses. This way, they retain ownership of the property, but effectively safeguard it from commercial encroachment and development. Landowners have direct impacts on what their communities, neighborhoods, and lifestyle may look like now in the future. In order to achieve greater environmental protection and stewardship, we need stronger environmental legislation and policy, as well as donation of funds and time to these local organizations. It's necessary to acknowledge and support communities such as agencies such as Wildlands Conservancy, the DNL National Heritage Corps, and the Environmental Advisory Councils as premier organizations of land conservation within the Lehigh Valley. Balancing development and green space creates thriving communities and a more resilient, adaptable, and sustainable future for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, McLean. One of the things, it's so great that you all are here to support these young people as they begin to find their own voice. It's hard to find your own voice, to speak out with adults and hold on and follow through with what you believe in. It's not just hard for them, it's hard for me. I think the sustainability issue is so huge, we wonder what just one person can do. And yet that's what we've got to do, one by one, working together.
Hello, I'm Addison Hamilton. I'm a senior at Liberty High School, and I'm going to talk about student safety in the community. I go to Liberty High School, and when you congregate a large group of new, inexperienced drivers, many issues arise. Car crashes, fender benders, and hitting pedestrians are all things that have happened near or at Liberty High School. Something needs to be done to make our environment safer. Not just to be safer and avoid injuries, but to make the school environment healthier and more conducive to learning. The solution to this issue would be to install speed bumps along the streets of Center, Elizabeth, Linden, and Fairview. Now, I don't stand alone on this issue. The staff at Liberty High School and the individuals living in the neighboring houses would agree with the installation of speed bumps. The staff, I know, want to arrive at school in a timely and safe manner, and the neighbors don't want to be concerned with whether or not their car was hit this morning or not. I live on these streets. I have witnessed on a regular basis car crashes, accidents, dangerous incidents, which were the result of carelessness and speeding. To put speed bumps on the high school's adjacent roads would ensure that people pay attention to what's going on and slow down the traffic flow. It is the community's responsibility, in my belief, to ensure a safe environment for the young people and not to ignore the fact that too many have gotten seriously injured as a result of poor driving. I recognize that there are those who would oppose the construction of speed bumps, taxpayers, and even students that go to Liberty. Students don't want to have to deal with the hassle of slowing down, and taxpayers will resist, but I have a solution. A movie night held in the stadium and field of Liberty High School, where families can come and pay for a spot on the field, which, for now, would be socially distanced from other families, and all the proceeds would go towards installing the speed bumps. Students can come in and staff the film nights for community service hours and grow a deeper connection to the community they live in while helping to protect their friends and peers. Let us work with Joseph Roy and Mayor Donchez on this issue and ensure the safety of our youth walking to and from school, and for all community members by walking by the school. We as a community can come together and make this possible. This is doable by installing speed bumps on the streets surrounding Liberty High School: Linden Street, Center Street, Elizabeth Street, and Fairview. We can make our home a safer and better place. Thank you.
This is another poem. It is written by Risa Denenberg, and it is called Ice Would Suffice. How swift, how far the sea carries a body from shore. Empires fail, species are lost, spotted frogs and tuft puffins forsaken. After eons of fauna and flora, hominids have stood for mere years, baffled brains atop battered shoulders. In a murky blanket of heavens, an icy planet made of diamond spins. Our sun winks like the star it was billions of years ago, without ambition. We bury bodies in shallow dirt, heedless of lacking space or how long our makeshift planet will host us. And now, let's get to the really important stuff: bicycles.
Good evening, my name is Scott Schaefer, and I am a senior at Liberty High School. I'm very excited to be able to speak with you today. Now, this was not only written by me, but it was also written by Angelise Hernandez and William Rodriguez, who sadly both cannot be here today. This is about our need for a bike park. Bethlehem is one of the many known cities in Pennsylvania. The people of Bethlehem love the environment and beauty of the city. With the culture and popularity of Bethlehem, many want to see us grow into an even better city. One group, and a large one, is those who love the bike life. This is particularly important for us, the youth. We have to ride in the streets. Some bikers do tricks, like swerving or wheelie on the roads, and drivers get angry. By giving bikers an area to call their own, our community will be safer, happier, more friendly for our youth, and moving in the direction away from polluting automobiles. Cyclists should be able to have a place where they can ride their bikes without getting in trouble for it. I've seen this many times. Too often I have been riding with a group of cyclists on the road, following the road laws, and drivers start to get angry and become aggressive. I have seen cyclists get stopped by police and cited for simply riding their bikes. We face many problems in our community, but this issue is a real problem. Kids aren't always perfect. That's unavoidable. They often ride their bikes in the middle of the streets. This is dangerous, plain and simple. Kids do wheelies in front of cars and ride out into traffic. I see this on my street every day. My mom and other drivers almost hit them all the time. Something here needs to change. Our solution to change this problem is to make something like a skate park, but for bikers. It's something in the community can do, along with designated and clearly marked bike lanes to make sure that no bicyclists dangerously ride on the opposite side of the road. The skaters had a similar dilemma. They couldn't freely skateboard around the city without some type of issue. They ended up getting a skate park on the south side of Bethlehem. We can find a new location for bikers to exist in Bethlehem and have a better, safer place to ride bikes. We need a dedicated, beautiful, safe place for bikers to do their tricks and not do them out in traffic. We need to build a bike park to go that is not too far away from a neighborhood, maybe near a community center or near a school. And we need to enforce the rules of the road and safety rules of bikes for kids everywhere. This is important to us. The community can help out by paying to build it, and we have somewhere cool to go. Even though there are many interest groups that would support this project, taxpayers may not want their tax dollars spent on a bike park. But as a community, we should work together, and we can use a mix of tax dollars, donations from the community, and cyclists can begin fundraising for the cause. The money collected from fundraising would go to finding a place that cyclists can ride and making our city streets more bicycle friendly. We're prepared, and others too, to fight for this. Not violently, of course, but enough to get the word out. Everyone is human. We have our dreams and needs and hobbies. Why ignore us when you can help us live better, safer lives? The littlest things can help grow this place we happen to live into a real home. Thank you.
We're going to finish up with this poem by Maya Angelou. It's called Life Doesn't Frighten Me. I'm not like Maya Angelou. Shadows on the wall, noises down the hall. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Bad dogs barking loud, big ghosts in a cloud. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Mean old mother goose, lions on the loose, they don't frighten me at all. Dragons breathing flame on my counterpane, that doesn't frighten me at all. I go boo, make them shoo. I make fun, way they run. I won't cry, so they fly. I just smile, they go wild. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Tough guys fight all alone at night. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Panthers in the park, strangers in the dark. No, they don't frighten me at all. That new classroom where boys all pull my hair, kissy little girls with their hair in curls. They don't frighten me at all. Don't show me frogs and snakes and listen for my scream. If I'm afraid at all, it's only in my dreams. I've got a magic charm that I keep up my sleeve. I can walk the ocean floor and never have to breathe. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Not at all. Not at all. Life doesn't frighten me at all. Thanks, everybody. I like our youth here to all stand and turn towards the audience. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for making this happen. God bless, and look out for our video on social media. Good night.
No, hey, that's no. That's
that in, it would have been even longer than that. Then again, I was pausing.